anybody who's coming up here, be careful when you come up on the stage. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Spicer. Welcome to our 4th annual Northwest High School Athletic Hall of Fame induction ceremony, honoring our class of 10 outstanding athletes, coaches, and contributors. Without being too verbose, I only have about 10 pages of notes I have to go through. No, I'm just kidding. It really is indeed an honor and a privilege for me to introduce them to you this evening. First, I would like to thank our Hall of Fame committee for their hard work. Mrs. Tammy Shiplett, where are you, Tammy? For all your hard work in putting this together this evening. You really did a wonderful job. Our superintendent, Mr. Sean Brayman, our high school principal, Mr. Larry Tosh, if you're here, our outstanding athletic director, Mr. Jason Hathaway. Again, without Mr. Hathaway, none of this would have been possible. This is his brainchild. So thank you. And our athletic secretary, Mrs. Kristen Wackerly, and Mr. Gary Woods. Appreciate all your help and your hard work. None of this would be possible without all of your tireless work, so please give everybody a huge round of applause. Now, many of you know that Ronald Reagan was a great president, and he was a hard worker, but he once joked that hard work never killed anyone, but why take a chance? Obviously, he never subscribed to that philosophy. Seriously though, the greatness in life comes by doing a few calculated and smart things each and every day, taking small steps toward a goal that eventually add up through constant courage and discipline, until the day arrives when you achieve the extraordinary. These men and women stood tall and never gave up on their dreams. And this is what each honoree has accomplished and why we honor them this evening. And now I'd like to introduce a man who really needs no introduction, a man of many good words and meaningful action, our athletic director, Mr. Jason Hathaway.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Jim. Thank you. You know, I want to throw out some thank yous too to Mrs. Shiplett, Mr. Spicer, Mayor Schultz, the selection committee, Mr. Gindelsberger, Chris Brady, Dr. Distel, Rich Workman. There's just so much that goes into this, and I really want to thank everybody for their tireless efforts. I'm going to be, I know this is scary, but I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be really brief. I get a microphone, it can be dangerous. But you know, I just want to take a moment of silence. We lost 3 incredibly important people in the history of our school and our town, with Mr. Ben Easterling and Mr. Marvin Hargrove and Coach Morrison. So I'm just asking for a quick moment of silence for those 3 wonderful people. Thank you. Let's give those people a round of applause. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be very brief, and I really want to take this opportunity to thank the Lord that has bestowed incredible things on this town, this school district, and this community. I'm just really thankful, and I can't tell you, every time I get in front of a mic, I can't tell you how thankful I am personally to just be a small part of this incredible district. We're really, really, truly blessed. And then rather briefly, before we get this wonderful event going, the vision. The vision is simple, and we all got to be a part of this vision. This night, this is just the beginning. There's going to be some delegation and some things that are going to happen where what we really want to see, the quick vision is that we're going to have multiple events all morning, early afternoon, and we're going to culminate downtown with the band the cheerleaders, and the induction ceremony, and then of course the fun with the DJ to follow. So stay tuned, get involved. We can really, really make this thing special where all towns are jealous of what we're doing. They already are jealous of Canal Fulton and Clinton anyhow, we know that. They're jealous of our school districts, but we can really, really take this thing to the next level. Thank you, and go Indians.
Okay, so let's meet our 2022 class of Hall of Fame inductees. First up, Aly Lindic. Aly is a 2012 graduate of Northwest. She distinguished herself as an acrobatic cheerleader and a track athlete. She excelled in the high jump. As a junior, she was state runner-up, and she capped her senior season bringing home the gold as the high jump state champion. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Grandpa Dan Lindick, presenter for Miss Aly Lindic.
Hi, I'm Grandpa. And I have the pleasure and the privilege of Aly tonight. That's it. Presenting Aly tonight, and it is a real privilege. I've known her for a long time, and I'm supposed to take 2-3 minutes here. Good luck. I've known her for her whole life, and she started about 5 years old until she started high school. She was in gymnastics, and she was gymnastics extraordinaire. She was great. Always enjoyed watching her. She kept improving. She'd go out and be in a contest and always win, first, second, third place. She traveled Ohio, she traveled Pennsylvania, and she was competitive. She likes being competitive. Come high school, she put aside gymnastics and she went to cheerleading and did that for a couple of years. Now, I hear that a couple of coaches saw her cheerleading and say, you know what, this girl can get off the ground. Why don't we see if she wants to take up track? So her junior year, they invite her out to track, and they said, would you like to do the high jump? And she says, yeah, what is that? And so she went out, and she did it, she tried. I have to give Megan Green and Michael Balliard credit for being her side-by-side coaches, encourage her. Her first year as a junior, she won most of her matches. And then she, at the end of the year, she went to the NBC Championships and won it at 5'1". Now understand, at that time, she's only 5'9", maybe. So this is quite a height for her to get up. From there, she went to district, she qualified for that. She took second place at 5'3". Then she went to regional. At 5'2", she got third place. The top 4 go to state. So here she goes down to state. At state, what a competition. What a place to go. She was there for a long time, high competition. The best were there. She jumped 5'5" and tied for second place. In the state, her very first year, she ever competed as a high jumper. That's accomplishment. Just starting senior year, repository came out with a top story to say, here's the top 5 ladies to watch in track. Guess whose number was number 4 on that list? So everybody knows she's not going to sneak up on anybody now. Everybody knows here comes Aly, and she can jump. So in the whole year, her senior year, I think she won every single match, regular match. She went on, one thing though, on May the 9th, she won her match very easily, and they said, why don't you try to break a record? You're doing well tonight. She made 3 jumps and come out at 5'6.5" inches. That is still the record as far as I know, for all of this area, which is level 2. So she went to districts, took first place at 5'4". Went to regional, took second place at 5'4". Second visit to state. She went down there as a word in repository. This is the girl to beat. Well, they didn't do it. 5'5" state champ, Aly Lindic.
You made me sound way cooler than I actually am, but it's an honor to stand among all of you wonderful, wonderful athletes. Thank you all for being here. Have a good night.
Also, I wanted to thank our wonderful Mayor Joe Schultz. I was a little remiss in excluding him in the first part of the speech, so thanks, Mayor Schultz, for all you do and for helping to put this together. Appreciate it very much. All right, our next honoree is Mr. Vince Baiera. Vince is a 2004 graduate of Northwest High School. He distinguished himself on the football field as an All-Ohio player and on the basketball team. He was a significant part of the tribe's golden age in leading the football team to the regional finals and the basketball team to a state runner-up finish. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Matt Lewis, presenter for Vince Baiera.
Unfortunately, Vince was not a high jumper. I'm honored to introduce our next inductee, Vince, who has a pretty lengthy list of accomplishments. As you heard, starting on the gridiron, Vince received the Northeastern Buckeye Conference Player of the Year honors, a second-team All-Ohio recognition, and first-team All-Star County, and helped guide the 2003 football team, many of in attendance here, to a 10-0 regular season start and a 12-1 overall record. Shifting gears on the basketball court, Vince was a sharpshooter, helping his team towards a 25-2 record, which resulted in a state runner-up finish for the 2003-2004 Northwest basketball squad. He earned first-team all-conference recognition and all-district honors that year as well. Vince was a feisty competitor and holds the record for giving opponents the most bloody noses in a season, using his elbows legally, right, Coach Lauer, to fend off the defenders from getting too close to him. Following graduation, Vince continued his athletic career at Robert Morris University, where he played football and earned his bachelor's in nursing and science. Today, Vince resides in San Diego, California with his wife, Carissa, his 2 8-month-old twins, Rocky and Leo. Vince works as a principal at a post-acute care healthcare solutions firm called Ries. Vince is also an entrepreneur and has patented several products, which he may not tell you about, but I will, that help our most vulnerable patient populations get in and out of bed and help with fall prevention. Not only was Vince a great teammate through high school, he was also a childhood best friend, and to this day remains a best friend. Please welcome to the stage Northwest Hall of Famer, class of 2004, number 12, Vince Baiera.
right. Thank you guys all for coming out. Matt, appreciate it. I want to just start by saying thanks to all the people that helped bring this together, put this event on. Jason, thank you. I know there's lots of people behind the scenes as well, so really appreciate all the hard work, and really all of you who came out and gave us your time and just wanted to be a part of what we're continuing to build here. So very nice of you to come and do that. I want to thank all the coaches that helped through the years, all the way from 7th grade up, you know, putting in all those hours, all of the people that really, again, were behind the scenes that maybe don't get the recognition that helped get us here. I have my parents here, my wife here. Thank you for all you've done for me. So many high school friends and people that I've known my whole life that were part of their journey, and all the great times that we had through high school that really just stick with me. And when I come back, that's really what I feel, is those relationships. And so going through, you know, our high school days, we certainly took some lumps early freshman, sophomore year, and then started to play a little more varsity. And I can think back to all the great memories, you know, through senior year of football, and whether it was at Louisville and catching a post corner touchdown pass, or in our playoff game catching a 97-yard touchdown catch to open up the game and really try to continue to drive deeper into the playoffs. Just really great memories. Fortunately, on the basketball court, we also had a good run, and Coach Lauer being here really is special. He was somebody that helped push us, but again, just lots of great memories, you know, playing in the MBC and moving on to districts and the regionals, and having a deep run into the state Final Four was pretty special, and getting to sell out the Schottenstein Center down in Columbus is something that I won't ever forget. But all those things, they come and go. They're in the past. They happened, they're done, they were great. But what really remains are the relationships. And when I come back and I see the faces and I see the friends and I hug people that I haven't got to see in a long time, that's really what fills me up and gives me the most joy, and just really special to be here. So I just, again, want to say thanks to all the people who helped bring this together, and all of you over the years that supported us, cheered for us, and continue to do so. Thank you. We appreciate it. Have a great night, and I hope to talk with each of you at some point. Thank you.
Our next honoree is Debbie Savula. Debbie is a 1976 graduate who distinguished herself on the track as a distance runner for the early women's track team. She was Northwest's first ever participant in the state track girls track championships, running the mile. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Debbie Wells Savula.
I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who made this day possible. I feel so honored, and I'm very happy that my friends and family were able to join me on this special day. Thank you.
Well, you know you're getting older when you can't just leap up on stage like a lot of these younger guys do. Okay, our next honoree is Mark Filicky. Mark is a 1973 graduate of Northwest High School. He was an outstanding three-sport athlete, participating in football, basketball, and baseball, earning a total of 9 varsity letters. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rich Dye, presenter for Mark Filicky.
Like you said, Mark was a three-sport star at Northwest. He played basketball for 4 years. He earned a varsity letter as a senior and was honorable mention All-Senate League. In football, Mark earned 3 letters and earned #1 in the Senate League as a quarterback. In baseball, Mark earned 4 letters and became All-Senate League in his junior and senior year. I've known Mark since his little boy, and always enjoyed to see him come up. But there's other people that knew all along that he would be here. His youth coach, Mr. John Hammer, I can hear him out there now. He's saying, I always knew that Mark would finally be considered one of the best athletes ever to attend Northwest High School. And today he made it. So I'd like you to meet your newest member of the Northwest High School Hall of Fame, Mr. Mark Filicky.
I didn't try to jump, but I knew I'd fall on my face. Obviously, this is a very, very special night for me. Just sitting here for the last hour brought back so many memories of running around these streets. Grew up in a large family, had 6 brothers and sisters, lived in that brick house right next to the toy store. Back in the 60s and 70s, there were flickies running all over this town. And I gotta tell you, I feel so fortunate to grow up in Canal Fulton. This is truly a special place. Every kid should have a childhood like I had. And I attribute it to 2 very caring, loving parents that knew what to teach us. They always provided for us. We always had their support. But we also had the support of our friends' parents, and quite honestly, the whole community. And honestly, I can say that. I have such fond memories of growing up in this town. And that was quite a few years ago, and it wasn't quite as big. But this place is very special to me. I want to thank or congratulate the other inductees on your outstanding accomplishments and contributions to Northwest Athletics. I want to thank the selection committee for picking me. I want to thank my brother-in-law, Dean Walther, for nominating me. Dean, it means a great deal to me that you feel the way you did. You took the time to do that for me. I also want to mention my sister Mary, Dean's wife. Dean and Mary are career educators at Northwest, both of them having provided more than 40 plus years of service and teaching to Northwest. I think that deserves a round of applause. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I do want to thank the selection committee again for picking me. It's very humbling, very much appreciated. And I've always been a proud Northwest graduate, and this means the world to me tonight. I want to thank Jason Hathaway. Jason, having been a school administrator for 35 years, I know what an athletic director has to do in their time commitment. Your days are generally 10 to 12 hours, and you add an event like this to your, and it turns into a 14-hour day. But you should go to bed tonight feeling pretty good knowing that you made for a wonderful weekend with some great memories for a lot of people, and I thank you for that. You know, I got started in athletics back in the mid-'60s when Don Schaumel and a few guys got together and decided to put together the Pee Wee football. And that was my first introduction to what athletics was all about. At the very young age, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. But those coaches, Coach Hammer and Coach Dye, had such an impact on my life at a young age. Quite honestly, they set the foundation for who I would become. And Rich, I've known you for 56 years. That was when I first met you as a coach. And you've always had my respect. I know you're a proud 59 graduate. There are several football trophies up there in the trophy case with Rich's name on it. He was a captain. And I know Northwest is a special place for you as well. But those coaches, and other people have mentioned it tonight, have such a profound impact on our lives. And I know that's what persuaded me to go into education and had a great 38-year career doing it. But, you know, they say that sports teach you so many life skills. And that is so true, because those life skills, and even at a very young age, they become who you are. And I can attribute any success I've had in my life to my participation in athletics, and I can honestly say that. That's where, quite honestly, between that and my parents, where I learned to be the person I am. And I would encourage all those young athletes out there to give it your all. If you like playing sports, play it. Give it your all. You like playing 3 sports, I don't know where we changed and became these specialists, and everyone's specializing in a sport, but you know what? Those years in athletics go by so fast. Enjoy it, because you're certainly going to miss it. I do want to take a quick moment. I know I've been up here longer than everybody else, but I want to acknowledge my family who are with me tonight. They're the center of my life. They're certainly my pride and joy, and I'm going to take a moment to introduce them to you. My youngest daughter, Kara. Stand up, Kara, I don't care. Okay. My middle daughter, Katie. Her husband, Carter. My granddaughter, Harper. My oldest daughter, Kristen. Her husband, Adam. And my granddaughters, Eleanor, Evelyn, and Emma. And I just found out today's a really special day. As you know, I just introduced them. I've had 3 daughters and 4 granddaughters. Well, I just found out today that Katie is pregnant with a little boy. So, but again, thank you for just making such a special night for me. This is really something special. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. I'm going to be sleeping by myself tonight. Boy, did I just choke. I want to introduce my beautiful wife, Kathy, who on Monday, I didn't forget, on Monday we will celebrate our 41st wedding anniversary. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next honoree is Susan Balliard Phillips. Susan is a 1982 Northwest graduate. She earned a total of 8 varsity letters, participating in volleyball, basketball, and softball, and she threw a 1-hitter in Northwest's first ever softball game. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome her husband, Brian Phillips, presenter for Susan Balliard Phillips.
Hello, Canal Fulton, and hello, fellow Northwest graduates. I get to introduce a girl I met in the fall of 1978. Small world is, it was in Coach Mayfield's gym class. I'm not the first choice to introduce her. That would be her father, Kurt, who we lost in 2013. Right, little one? I am also not the second choice. That would have been Coach Sherhat, who we also lost. Right, Bert? Both are here tonight. I played sports at Northwest, so I was always at the high school. I would see this girl playing volleyball like a madman. I mean, she's running all over the court. Every time I would see her, I was like, wow, she leaves nothing, or she leaves everything out on the court. And that's how she played at everything. She plays with so much heart, but any of you who know her know how much heart she has. So volleyball became basketball, basketball became softball. I always remember the old saying, someone may see you play once, so make them remember it. And she did, every time. So with great pride, I would like to introduce the best all-round female athlete I ever seen in Northwest history, Sorry Morgan, Susan Renee Balliard.
Ditto what Mark said and ditto what Vince said. Is that good enough? I would like to thank the Northwest Athletic Department for starting this event. I'm very humbled, to say the least, and congratulations to all the inductees now and previously. Thank you to my family and friends for being here to support me. My biggest fan, my dad, is not here today, but I'm sure he's so proud since he's the one that spent countless hours in the backyard with me and coaching me, along with my mom. Maybe one day my daughter can join me as an inductee for her talents here as an Indian also. I'm very blessed that my husband remembered those years and believes in me to nominate me for this honor. Thank you, Brian. I love you. Thank you all, and I will forever be an Indian.
Well, I got up here again, didn't trip. It's a major accomplishment for me. Our next honoree is MIcky Podnar. Micky is a 1974 graduate who distinguished himself on the mats of the Northwest Wrestling program. He was a member of the famed Al Mayfield's 1974 undefeated wrestling team and became the school's first ever state finalist, placing second. Unfortunately, Micky is not able to be with us this evening, but his brother Terry, who also shares honors this evening, is. Terry Podner is a 1975 graduate who, like his brother Micky, was a tremendous wrestler for Coach Al Mayfield's wrestling teams. He was a member of the 1974 undefeated team as well, finishing fourth at the state finals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Terry Podner.
I think he's kind of a motivational speaker. But anyway, thank you very much for the honor of being inducted. And I'm sure, Micky, if you were here, you would be thanking you as well. I want to thank Jason for your efforts, the organization, all the people involved. This is really very impressive. And congratulations to all the inductees, and I think that it's well deserved. It's very unusual to actually have something like this at the school, and it takes a lot of work, and I understand that, and know that this started about 2 months ago, from what I understand. So anyway, and my wife's over there taking some video with this, and she's my supporter for this evening. So Mark couldn't make it either, my brother, Mark. And I also want to thank Mr. Mayfield, my coach, my inspiration during those 4 years of wrestling. And Mark wanted to mention that you were great all year round except for 1 week. And that's when you went rabbit hunting. But I would be amiss if I didn't mention Mickey, who took second state. Mickey was about the toughest wrestler I've ever seen, pound for pound. He was 126 pounds. I was a couple weights above him, but I did not want to practice with him because he was a pretty tough guy. I would practice with anyone but Mickey. And can't say the same for Mark, my brother, but on the other hand. But I'm just joking, in case Mark's out there somewhere. Anyway, I do thank you for this award, an honor, and I hope you continue this in the future, next 50 years. Thank you very much.
Our next honoree is Mr. Brian Reese. Brian graduated in 1975 from Northwest. He distinguished himself in the wrestling and baseball programs for the Tribe. And a standout in both sports in high school, he went on to be the head coach of both programs. He also retired after many years as a teacher at Northwest High School. He served 10 years as the wrestling coach and 8 years as the Tribe's baseball coach. Brian was also a very active contributor to our sports programs for many years after retirement, including leading the youth wrestling program. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Mayor Joe Schultz, presenter for Brian Reese.
Hi everybody, what a glorious evening, and first and foremost I want to thank God for this gorgeous weather, and thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for saving me and making my life a whole lot easier now that I know how this thing all ends. But I am given the honor and privilege of introducing Brian Reese as an inductee for the Northwest Athletic Hall of Fame. And someone asked me the other day, is Brian going in as a coach or as an athlete or as a contributor? And I said yes. He was a three-sport standout in high school: football, wrestling, and baseball. I've had the privilege of knowing him and coaching with him for years, and I know what kind of human being he is and how much his family means to him. And I want to thank his family. Tara, where are you? Are you out there? There she is, okay. I'll never forget, Brian and Tara have 7 children. He'll probably talk about it, but You know, I think of the line Dennis Lamus told me about his blended family. He said that looked out the window one time and said, "Look at that, honey. Your kids and my kids are beating up our kids." But that's Brian's family. They have a blended family, and he loves each and every one of them dearly and passionately. As a classroom teacher, the greatest compliment I can give Brian Reese is that as a social studies teacher, I don't think a kid could ever tell you, based on his teaching, whether he favored the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. And that's a testament to a classroom teacher in America today, especially in the top subject of social studies. But Brian has a long list of accomplishments, and I'm going to read off some of those to you. I'm going to have to put on my glasses here. So to answer that question, Brian is a tremendous athlete in high school, back before they had all these glorious statistics that they have today, throwing the ball all over the place. But he had a career record in college of 59 wins and 23 losses, 3-time national qualifier, 2-time NAIA District 22 champ, 2-time Mid-Ohio Conference champion. He was inducted into the Malone University Athletic Hall of Fame in 2003. As a coach at Northwest from 1986 to 1996, Brian had an incredible amount of success. He was able to send 14 kids to the state, had them as 14 state qualifiers. 9 of those kids placed at the state tournament, and one of them was our first state champion in school history, and that was Brian Slates. Brian had coached also numerous all-league and all-county wrestlers. 3 of his wrestlers were named Wrestler of the Year in Stark County. He was himself selected as the Coach of the Year in Stark County, as well as the Pac-7 Athletic Conference. As I said, he was inducted into Malone's Hall of Fame. He's been inducted into the Stark County Wrestling Hall of Fame. He was inducted into the Northwest Wrestling Hall of Fame. He served as a head baseball coach, as Jim pointed out, the head golf coach, and I was fortunate and blessed to work with him as an assistant in football, wrestling, baseball, softball, and track for many years. But the biggest thing, all these accomplishments, as great as they are, they pale in comparison to what Brian Reese really did after high school. Because to me, being a great high school athlete is one thing. It's what you do after high school with your life to give back to your community and others. And Brian Reese epitomizes that for us here in the Northwest community. He is the fabric that binds us together as a community. And where did he learn this from? It started at home, as Mr. Felici said, with 2 loving parents, Wilson and Julia Reese. And Brian had 5 siblings that never let him get too big for his britches, is the way one of them told me. But first and foremost, and it's such a blessing and an honor to me to introduce this person to you, but Brian Reese just lived out the expression, to whom much is given, much is expected. So therefore I present to you Brian Reese for the Northwest Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for those great words and kind words. I appreciate it. I appreciate your friendship and your loyalty, and it's been a great ride with you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate the other inductees and all of their accomplishments, and well-deserved. Myself, I had a kind of a unique perspective on all of this because I had an opportunity to compete with, coach with, and coach under, and watch them coach each and every one of these over my career, because as Joy said, I grew up here and I came back and coached here, so I got to see them all compete and get to see them all coach. I appreciate everything that they've done, and they're well deserved, and thank you. And Coach Mayfield, I only have one thing to say for you for the moment. It's about time. Yeah. As Joe said, growing up here, and as Mark said, Mark Filicky said much of what our childhood was like here. I enjoyed that same childhood. Much of it here in Canal Fulton early on, and then the rest of it up a little place up here in the swamps of Warwick. And shout out to Warwick. The capital, yeah, the armpit, no, the capital of the world. So on that journey though, like I said, I've had an incredible journey here in this community. And it's all about community, and it's all about the people that you're around. And on this journey, I had an opportunity to coach some incredible athletes. Joe mentioned some of them, Brian Slates and a few others that I've had the opportunity to coach as far as in wrestling. I had some incredible athletes through baseball and golf that were awesome and incredible to coach. I couldn't imagine coaching anywhere else or being anywhere else other than this community. During that time, I was surrounded by some great mentors, colleagues, and teammates. And with that, I have an opportunity to steal things from them. I always said that good coaches and good teachers are great thieves. You learn things from other people. You find out what works for them and you steal it. And as a young coach, when I first got back here, and as I went through my career as an athlete, I was surrounded by some pretty incredible people. And some of the things that I was able to learn through that journey here, and the people that were here in this community, and teachers and coaches that I had, you know, Joe Schultz would be the first guy I would talk about, because if I had $1 for every time I heard this, I could have probably retired much earlier in my life. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And one thing I learned from him over the years in particular is if you have goals, you better make sure you have a plan to get there. And so those are some of the things that you learn from people that are surrounded by you, that you're surrounded by. Physical and mental toughness. Al Mayfield, Scotty Morrison, and Bill Stump. I learned that from those folks. Being compassionate and loyal also to your coaches and to your athletes. I learned that from Russ Sherhag, Rick Moore, Charlie Miller, and Bob Harrell. Enthusiasm and passion for your sport and for what you're doing. Gary Dial, Wayne Pardee, and Bobby Venables. Attention to detail, doing the little things right. As a coach and as an athlete, you got to pay attention to those things and do the little things. I learned those things from Del Halpin, Dan Detweiler, and Jim Miller. Also remember not to take yourself too seriously. And sometimes it's a good time to just draw in the dirt and have some fun. And I thank Paul Stortz and Jim Triffin for that. But more importantly, as Joe mentioned, probably the best lesson I learned was at home. And that was to give back to your community. I watched my parents volunteer and give back to their community and give back to various organizations over the years, from the time we were little kids until their passing. I used to joke around that when they were in their 70s, they were giving and delivering baskets to the elderly. And I'm like, you are the elderly. What are you doing? I also learned from older brothers and how to give back, watching them coach, officiate, and umpire here in the youth programs. I also had an opportunity to coach my kids when they were young, which was a good experience and always fun. Probably not so much for them, but for me. My daughter here, Bree, she can attest to that. It was always a great experience to coach her, especially when I was coaching softball, except for when I had to go out and ask her to come in to pitch. If there was a contest for eye rolling, she would have wanted them, because she would have preferred to be in a position. So those were some of the experiences, some of the things that you learn growing up in a community like this where you get to give a chance to give back. But no matter what program I was involved in, no matter which organization I was involved with, one thing I can always say about this community, people were willing to step up. Step up and help and get involved and help us with the program. When we started the youth wrestling program, there were many people that stepped up over the years and continue to do so. I've always said here in this community, we have some good chiefs. We have even better Indians. They are willing to do the heavy lifting. And I want to thank all of them, all the folks that did the heavy lifting over the years when I asked or when I was coaching to step in and help and do some things for us. So those things make your job much easier. So as I remember my journey here in Canal Fulton and here at Northwest, those are the things that I'm going to always cherish and always remember, and the people that impacted me and helped shape what I was about and what we tried to do when I was involved in a program. And I also want to thank my family back here. Joe mentioned Tara, my wife. My mother-in-law's here this evening. I got my boys here, and also my daughter Bree is here, and her husband back here, Sean. So thank you very much for coming out. You have a great community. It's always been an awesome experience to come back here, even though I moved away from the community in recent years. It's great to come back and see what's going on here and see the positive things. Jason over here is doing an amazing job, and I thank everybody that has put this together and had a part in it. It's a good experience and a great opportunity, and thank you for the honor, and thank you to the committee and all of the other inductees. Thank you.
Our next honoree is Mr. Brian Armstrong. Brian is a 1970 graduate of Sebring High School. Army, as he is affectionately known, distinguished himself as a head coach for the 15 years, as the girls basketball coach, 18 years as the track coach, and an amazing 44 years as the tribe's cross-country coach. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Joe Wygand, presenter for Mr. Brian Army Armstrong.
Getting up here deserves an applause. I'm just kidding, but that's all right. In 1976, a much younger Brian Army Armstrong hired in at Northwest High School about 2 hours before I did. In addition to his teaching assignment in social studies, Brian was to be the JV boys basketball coach, and he was to start a new program, cross country. And I see he brought his fan club along with him tonight. 39 years later, when he retired, Brian was still the cross country coach. At that time, the school had a policy not to hire retirees for coaching positions. However, that policy did get rescinded. So for the past few years, Brian has been the cross country coach, making that a total of, you said 44? I had 43, 44. Okay, that's great. 44 years. You realize how long that is. As I said, Brian was also the JV boys basketball coach from 1976 to 92, or 82. And that's when he became the girls varsity coach. He totaled 21 years of coaching either the boys or the girls basketball teams. And if that's not enough, Brian also coached track and field, as was told to you a moment ago, for 18 or 19 years. I heard different numbers last night also. That means that Brian has coached here at Northwest, helping out the youth of this community for 83 seasons. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever coached in a park or anywhere else, but you know how much time that it consumes. And 83 seasons. Not only Brian deserves this award, but his wife does too, for putting up with that. And all that time, several times I went up to him and I said, Brian, you know, why so much? Why not take a break? Why not relax a little bit? And his response most often was always the same. It's for the kids. Every once in a while, Brian would have the pleasure of coaching a talented young person like a Kelly Litton, who won first place in cross country at state, or a Dave Howard, who came in second at state in cross country, and also the 3,200 meters in track in state. Or he would have the pleasure of coaching a Tracy Williams Spradling, who was the league player of the year on the 1988 league championship girls basketball team. And I saw tonight a number of those girls are here, and they are phenomenal. It was a great group to be able to work with. But most often, Brian coached regular kids, regular talent. Not that he ever thought of them as average or regular. He always encouraged his athletes to strive for their personal best in everything that they did. Excuse me. To strive for improvement. This past week, I received a note from a former Northwest cross-country runner who asked me to forward it to Brian and to also read it here tonight. And it reads, "Congratulations to Coach Armstrong on receiving this honor. You were a role model who taught me a great deal about life and how to push myself to become a better person. Army, you taught me to be a good leader. I was able to apply that talent to be successful while serving in the United States Army for 7 years after high school. I appreciate all you did for me and all the other athletes whom you have influenced throughout the years. Congratulations and thank you, John." This is the kind of man you want working with the youth at Northwest, Brian Armstrong.
Gotta hydrate, make sure you hydrate. Guys, hydrate, make sure. Thank you, Joe, for those very, very kind words. And I love the message from Joe. John, thank you. That was great. What a great guy, too. But you knew that. Joe, like he said, was hired in right after I was hired in here at Northwest. And he became a colleague and a lifetime close friend. He was the best assistant coach I had, and we enjoyed that basketball as no other. My story starts in June of 1976. I know it was the last century, it's hard to believe. Yeah. But a guy by the name of Nick Corral was a principal here at Northwest, and he had me in for an interview, and John Rokas was a boys basketball coach, and they interviewed me for that, and I had a background in basketball, so they hired me in, and he took a chance. And the basketball was great. John Rokas was a great coach. We lost him recently this year. But he taught me a lot. He taught me a whole lot about how to do things at cross country, how to do things at basketball, how to do things at school. He was a great mentor for me. But Nick Corral is the guy that brought me in, and that day he said, we're going to start something called cross country, and we'd like you to coach it. And when I went to Muskingum, I attempted to play basketball, and part of our conditioning was go out and run a cross country course at Muskingum College. And if anybody's ever been to Muskingum College, it's a hill similar to going up 93 toward Route 21. And I came back from those training runs and said, who in the world does this? What is wrong with these people? Here we are. And I love them all. Best people going, I'll tell you. But at any rate, Nick Corral took a chance on me, and we had a great, great time. And that started my run. Al, I think you're going to have a hard time to read your notes. It's getting dark up here. I'm having a hard time, so bring your light.
I can't read anyway.
Oh, that's why you were eating those. Okay. So at any rate, we got going with cross country. I had many mentors, coaches I talked to, people I became friends with. Met some of the best coaches in this county. It's a very good county. But at any rate, they taught me an awful lot. So I coached cross country and boys basketball, taught the social studies classes, and I had great people as mentors, as colleagues, and I had great people in the classes. And that's the one thing that to me has been the constant at Northwest, is the wonderful people in this community. And it is the people that, like Brian Reese, Mark Filicky, grew up here, David Wells, Aly Lindic, Susan Balliard, they can tell you what a great community. How much this community supports everything that we do. I wanted to learn as much as I could in all the areas so I could be better at it. I loved every minute of what I did here. It's why you can do it for 39 years. And I really believe when you go to work and you love it as much as I love it, it's not going to work. It's just showing up and just having great experiences and trying to help people as much as I can. I did love to help the kids. As Joe said, I do say that a lot, and some people laugh at me, but yeah, it's for the kids. And that's what I was always trying to do. I was trying to support the kids that needed the most support. I wanted them to realize that they could be as good as they could be. Sometimes you can be that good, and sometimes you can be this good. But the goal is to give it everything you got and see how good you can be. And I always like to tell you guys, try something. Try to do the best you can. You might find something out about yourself. You might be able to achieve things you've never ever thought possible. And sometimes it'll click, and it will teach you about life. I know there's a lot of sports. A lot of people talk about, well, this sport teaches you about life, or this sport teaches you about life. Cross country teaches you about a lot about life. It is the hardest thing you can do. And I won't argue with anybody if you think some other sport is, but this is mentally and physically and emotionally the hardest thing you can do. And these kids come out there every day. Nobody ever says, boy, I wish I could be them, when they see us running on the streets or running on the towpath or running on the course. But it really develops the kids. And that's one of the best things about what I get to do. I asked Joe again to help me when I became the basketball coach, as I mentioned, and he was the best assistant coach I could have had. He cared about it as much as I did. He cared about the kids as much as I did, and he was willing to do whatever we had to do to become as good as we could be. He was a big reason why we had the success we had. And boy, was that a great ride. Sometime in there, I began to coach track and field, and again, some very wonderful individuals that a lot of people would never look at. They would never see these people as athletes or what they could try to do. And somehow I felt that these kids are going to give it their best shot, and they're going to do what they can. Mike Krzyzewski, may have heard of him, he said once upon a time that every season is a lifetime. And basically what he meant was that as you go through your season, you start the first day, you have a birth, you grow, you go through infancy, you go through childhood, you grow into adulthood, and then you try to develop everything and do everything you can, just like living in a life. Well, I didn't realize it was that many lifetimes, but so, wow, 83, yeah, I didn't know that, Joe. Thank you. But yeah, every season is a lifetime, and you can see development every time kids come out. Every time they try to accomplish something, they work with other members on the team, they work with themselves, they try to do everything they can to be as good as they can. It's a lifetime. And I had 2 to 3 of those a year. I had through 2 or 3 seasons a year. I mean, I was the luckiest person here. I was blessed to have been put in a great town and a great community, and you know, how lucky to help develop these people. Sometimes we did pretty good, and sometimes we didn't do as well as we wanted, but I still think that everybody understood that your job is to try to become the best you can be. I was saying that before Army said it, the U.S. Army. I was saying be all you can be better than that. So maybe they did steal it from me. I probably should ask about that. But at any rate, what wonderful athletes I have had, what wonderful people I have had to work with. The support from the parents, from the families, as was already mentioned, was tremendous. They all cared about their kids. They wanted their kids to have a good experience, and we tried to do everything the right way. We never tried to cut the corners or do anything wrong, but after 39 years of teaching, some people thought it was time for me to go. Thanks, Andrew. We'll talk about that later. But at any rate, so I gave it up. And I found out, again, how much I missed being with the kids. And I was so fortunate when Mr. Hathaway came in and said, would you like to come back and coach? And I took a chance. I know it wasn't a chance, but it was like one of the best things that could have happened. I mean, you talk about a blessing. There it is. Mr. Hathaway was put in my way to do that. So, thank you. Thank you. But at any rate, and it's just been wonderful again. And again, the people are the same. This town is the same. This community is the same. I was afraid of living without cross country or living without Northwest. From Sebring, it's a small town. It might be smaller than this place now, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be part of that. So anyway, Mr. Hathaway got me back. I think he wanted an old guy around so he could trash the old guys. I don't know, probably. But you know, Mr. Reese, did he ever say that to you? He wants to trash the old guy? No, yeah, okay. He mentioned you too. Yeah, makes him look young. But yeah, what a wonderful guy Mr. Hathaway is. So much positive. He has so much energy. He does so many things. Again, organizing all this, organizing all the things he does at the school. The way he runs the athletic department has just been totally outstanding. One thing I will say. Joe, is that the same guy that wrote, was that your campaign manager? Okay, it went by. Anyway. At any rate, one thing I'll say is there are some sports that get way more attention than cross country, track and field. And I understand that. That's nobody's problem. But what it is it left me with the drive to make sure that the cross country kids, the track and field kids, girls basketball kids in the 80s understood that what you do is extremely important. You need to be extremely proud of how hard you work and what you accomplish. And if you get out there and you become the best you can be, you've done all that was asked of you, and that's what we need you to do. And that's what I always tried to do. Again, as Joe mentioned, for the kids. I'm close. Okay. Somewhere, I wanted to appreciate my thanks to the community, the people of the community, the people from Northwest, the schools, and I just wanted to continue to make these kids better and to challenge them. And again, you can never know what you can do until you try. So we try to do that. I'm very proud of all the students and all the athletes who took a chance and hopefully succeeded, gained confidence, and learned how to live their life. That was a story. I'd like to thank the committee. I'd like to thank Mr. Hathaway for making this all possible. I'd like to thank my parents. Some of you have heard, my father was a minister, my mother was the church secretary, and that was the background I grew up in. And it was a very loving, caring family, and they taught me a lot. They taught me to rely on myself and how to do things. I'd like to thank my wife, Nancy, of the past 44 years. We just celebrated our 44th, for putting up with that and allowing me to do all this stuff. Yes, she deserves a round of applause. Plus, she has to put up with me. Yeah, that's in addition. I'd like to thank my daughters, Julie and Ashley, who are here tonight. Hi, Brett. That's my grandson. Okay. Ashley and Julie, who also had to go through life with Nancy doing most of everything that needed to be done. And it was okay with them. They were good. They developed so well. Their husbands, Julie's married to Mike. Ashley is married to Matt. That was Brett that just ran by. There's twins over there in the stroller. They're what, 8 weeks or 2 months old now, right? 2 months old. And they've all been so beneficial through my life, and I'd like to thank them. And then again, just some of the people from Northwest, and I'm still trying to make this quick. Who's timing this so I know if I outlast Al? Okay. That was my goal. I'd like to thank again Nick Corral because he took a chance on me. I'd like to thank John Rokas because he also took a chance, brought me in as assistant basketball coach. Joe Wygand, as I've mentioned, best friend, assistant coach, how wonderful. Jason Hathaway, who does so much and has rejuvenated so much here. I'd like to thank John Hexamer, Steve Jones, Gary Woods, for all of them for all their support through the years. Also, Gary Dial, who we lost. He was a mentor to me. He was a very rugged football coach and assistant principal, but he always wanted to talk about the cross-country kids and what they were doing. He recognized that, and I really appreciated his guidance with all that. I think our new superintendent, Dr. Branham, is exceptional, and I appreciate everything that he's done to help us. I'd like to thank Larry Tausch and Greg Ramos, the two principals that allow me to coach their students, and each and every athlete and student I've ever had. I'm talking too much. Today we were at a meet at Worcester, and I had 2 ex-students come up to me and just, hey, how you doing? You were one of my best. I loved it. Teacher, and they had kids who run for other schools, but they found me and came and talked to me about that. And that's just one of the best things that you could have happen to you, I think. Couldn't all be the best, but we could always give it the most effort that we could. And so with that, thank you, Canal Fulton. Thank you, Northwest. Thank you, everyone.
How about these honorees, ladies and gentlemen? Please give them a round of applause. Fantastic speeches, wonderful careers. Last but not least, our honoree is Mr. Al Mayfield. Al is a proud 1956 graduate of Morgantown High School and also Marshall University, who just defeated the University of Notre Dame today in football. He was a tremendous wrestling coach. He founded the Northwest Wrestling Program in 1962 and quickly built the program into a powerhouse. He was a wrestling innovator who developed the famous Northwest Three-Way, a method to run large invitationals in a timely fashion. It has been adopted by many wrestling programs throughout the state and also the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome son Jeff Mayfield, presenter for Mr. Al Mayfield.
I first have to say that today is my mom's birthday. And my wife had a present for her, which I proceeded to leave at home 3 hours ago. So, happy birthday, Mom. Here's your present. Mom said, keep it short. Here we go. Yes, Al Mayfield started wrestling at Shawnee High School, but it started way back before that. It started in Morgantown, West Virginia. It started in high school when he had to go home and tell his mom, "Mom, I'm going out for the wrestling team." Now you have to, a little background here, his nickname was Bud. Everybody in his family called him Bud. I don't know why or the history behind that, but they called him Bud. And so he says, "Mom, I'm going out for wrestling." And she says, "Bud, you're going to break your neck. They're going to bust one of those chairs over your head." She was dead serious, thinking that he was doing the World Federation type wrestling. Second quick story I wanted to say that I don't know that he knows I know this, but his dad told me that when he was in high school that he apparently did some move where he threw the kid clear across the mat and won the match and pinned him. And the coach that he had at that time went up to his dad, my grandpa, and asked, where in the hell did he learn that move? He actually is, I don't know where he got the book, but he got a book from the United States Navy on wrestling and was reading, and from that book he picked up this move. And to me that shows his love, his dedication to the sport, his desire to be the best, the desire to do everything you possibly can to be better. And he brought that to Northwest High School and then started Northwest Wrestling, and he continued that process. So, in conclusion, please welcome to the stage A.W., Al, Big Al, Bud, Alpha, and my dad.
Take it that way a little bit. I'll probably bite it too. Yeah. I did not write my son's speech. I usually write all my press releases though, and I'm practically speechless here tonight. And for some of you, that's really a surprise for me to say that. You know there's not a word of it true. I look around this room, and this is like a wrestler's homecoming dream. I look around here and I see scorekeeper for 4 years. I see Miss Phillips over here. She did not wrestle, but she did the next best thing. She married someone from my gym class that was a wrestler. I can honestly say, Mark, where are you? Filicky, he will tell you that he was part of that recruiting program that I was guilty of there at Northwest. At that time, basketball was very prominent, and when I go down to study hall, I would take a hold of a young man's arm like this, and I say, in 2 months, you can have 2 bands of steel right there on your arm. it didn't work with Mark, so I did plan B. How about a motorcycle jacket with an eagle on the back? That didn't work. So he got even with me. He came back and requested to be a student teacher. I got even with him then. He was a student teacher, so as I look here, I feel like I'm talking to the home crowd. This is an especially exciting night for me because two things happened today that they're only going to happen one time, I think. One, my 4-year-old great-grandson just caught his first bluegill up in my pond because I went down to watch him catch that, and I just got through watching the last 44 seconds of the football game as Marshall upset in the Golden Dome area Notre Dame. How much exciting can that be? So there you have it. I do not have, Brian, I can see some of these, it's just that they're in my handwriting and I can't read them. I'd like to extend those thanks and congratulations, Gary Woods, Athletic Director Jason, and no one has said it here yet tonight, but I want to thank the Rotary Club for their chicken that they had for us up there tonight. Let's hear it for the Rotary Club and the chicken. All right. Thank you. There are so many people for me to thank, and Jeff has beat me to it here. I was going to try to throw it as a surprise, but happy birthday to my wife. She's 39. She's 39, and she was a child bride. I can't read this. Maybe we'll just have to ad-lib it a little bit. Yes, I've had some exposure to some wrestlers that have had exceptional success. And I'd like to give a shout out to those guys that never got in a varsity match at Northwest. I owe it to you as those that did owe it to you because you made them better and you made me proud. There was a time when I went to Doylestown with a team. I knew the coach up there, John McGowan. They had just moved into the new high school, and he said, Al, you got to come up and have a scrimmage at the school because I've got a whole gymnasium all to myself. I said, oh, you'd like for me to send the varsity, the reserves, the kamikazes, or the banzais? He said, huh? He said, send them all. So as we got off the bus up there at Doylestown, it was a long bus, he started counting, and he said, Al, I just counted 74. Do you really have 74 on the wrestling team? I said, well, yeah, there's a couple sick today that couldn't make it. Yes, that was the golden era of Northwest Wrestling as far as I was concerned. Yes, 74. And it was numbers like that that put him out there on the mat so that when that varsity guy went out, he had a real backing there because there were people that made him really good. So I have a couple notes here. I should warn you that you will never see this on my tombstone. The word of humble and modest. I am not humble and I am not modest. Mark that down. I'm writing my obituary and I don't even have it in my obituary. So if you want to see all these wonderful things for me that there's not enough time for me to give to you, read the obituary. I thought I was covering myself pretty well. And then when I talked to a friend of mine working at the newspaper, he said, how long is it going to be? And I said, well, I'm going to cover all the sports. And I'm going to cover all the rooster hole in my left knee where a game chicken hit it and put a spur into it. It's going to be in there that I was the 2-year Marshall University undefeated bait casting champion. Just little things like that that's not getting covered in all this. And he says, wait a minute, you realize they charge in your obituary by the inch. So I went home, mentioned that to my wife, and she said, it's going to be relatively simple. Whatever I say here is going to be 2 lines. The last one's going to be R.I.P. She's not even going to print out rest in peace. It's going to be abbreviated like that. So be sure to read that obituary. I'm going to try to sneak it in the best I can. Please do not, those of you that know me, well, good for you. You know that I get confused a lot with 2 other famous high-profile comedians. One is Curtis Mayfield. He's black. And the other one is a guy that is a clown. He played for the Cleveland Browns. His name was Mayfield. I'm not either one of those. I'm not related to either one of them. And the word I could find down in West Virginia about the Mayfield up in Cleveland, he was part of that Mayfield clan back in West Virginia that right before the Civil War, they ran out of the state. Now that's the best I could come in there and the association with it there. We are not kissing cousins, as they say down there in the hills. You are going to get a few more minutes of corn tone and BS. Over here in the flatlands, it's known as cornbread and bean soup. Yeah, if you were ahead of me there on thinking of what the BS was going to stand for, this is a family-oriented program. I plan to keep it that way all the way here. I know that's putting Jason at ease here because he's somewhat hesitant about me up here last. And when I said, well, what's going to be the order that the presentations are going to be made? Because, you know, we could have gone alphabetically, and here we've been Armstrong, and so on, and I'd be down the list. And I said, well, was that a consideration because of my age and seniority? He said, well, yeah, there was someone there mentioned that, but it was more or less they were saying, we'd rather have him go first because he'll probably doze off and be asleep by the time it gets around if we put him up here last. But okay, we're all suffering for it now. I'm last, so here you go. I get to give the benediction. But there's a couple things I'd like to point out. I was a driver ed teacher here, and when I took the driver license test in West Virginia, the first time I took that test, it was given verbally. Four words. First word, giddy up. Second word, whoa. Now those of you that are into horses will understand this. When you come out and you're plowing and you do not have the rein on a good horse, you come out to the end of that furrow and you say, gee. A horse only has to memorize 4 words. How does that horse know to go left? Haul. Giddy up, stop, gee, haul. That was my first driver license examination. Now the second was a little more advanced. You rolled down the window, and if you were going to make a left turn, you put out your left arm like this, and you stuck it out to the side. Making a right turn, you were here. If you put it out and you dangled it down like this, that meant you were going to slow down or come to a stop. There was one more, not very popular, not common. It's this one. That means erase the other signals. I'm still trying to make up my mind. Now, when I came to Ohio, they have another hand signal. Actually, it's not a hand signal. It's a finger gesture, which I will not demonstrate here for you. But you're with me here and you can fill it in. Finally, I am so glad I'm here because when I came over, Governor Devine was not in charge. I just heard a few weeks back that he was sending the National Guard down to the border to protect the country from those coming across the river illegals. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, they were here for our jobs, and they couldn't speak our language. He had me all the way. All the way. All he had to do was say, a high river, and that would have fit really close to home with me. Now, the order, and Jason, rest assured, it's still going to be straightened up. In conclusion, I'm giving the benediction for the good old boys in West Virginia. Picture this, a night like this. You've met with your buddies out on top of the hill. The dogs have been running for 2 or 3 hours. The fire is getting low. The jug is empty. Finally, someone stands up and says, it's getting late. The night has been long. And we've got church tomorrow, guys. So here's the one member of that group. We're pretty sure he was a Baptist because he never brought a jug, but he never missed a chance to take a sup. And so here's this member, he says, it's getting late, the day's been long, we've got church tomorrow, so men, call the dogs and pee on the fire. Thank you.
Now, before we wrap it up, I want to call up my really good friend, Mr. Gary Woods, the legendary Gary Woods. Come on up, Gary. Give Gary a round of applause. I think you're going to have to try to get up these steps, Gary. I just want to have a special thanks for Mr. Woods. I think there's so many things that he has done for so many years behind the scenes. Gary and I have gotten really close over the years, and I learned so much from him taking over the job. And I just want everybody to know all the little things he does for the Hall of Fame behind the scenes, all the writing, the stuff in the cloud, and just a couple words for Mr. Woods, and talk about the cloud a little bit, my friend. And then Jim will give us the final. Mr. Woods.
Thanks, Jason. It's definitely a pleasure and an honor to be in front of you, but this night is not about me. It's about these gentlemen, these ladies. It's their night, it's not about me. I will say this, that those of you, Jason was talking about the cloud, what we've done is we put a lot of our information about the school district on a website. It's northwest.touchpros, with an S on the end, .com. It has our Hall of Fame members from the class of 2017 to the present, It has their pictures and their biographies. It has teams and records and rosters back to 2000. I guess the unfortunate thing is before I got here, nobody kept track of very much of anything. But I've done a passionate effort to make sure that today's kids are getting honored. I know that when you talk to some of the Hall of Famers and I was showing them their biographies, they didn't remember some of the things. Like Aly Lindic, you know, she didn't know that I knew about how she became a track athlete. She didn't know that. Susan Balliard didn't know about that first pitch one hitter. Those are things that hopefully 20 years from now, kids will look back and say, gee, I remember back in 2022, our football season or our basketball season. So it's important that we as a community honor those people. The Hall of Fame is just a beginning. As Jason has said, this night is just the beginning of something great, and because of you, it will continue to be that way. I'm happy and thankful to be a member of the Hall of Fame committee. I'm not alone. John Hexamer, Steve Jones, Rich Workman, Chris Brady, Dr. Distel, there's a bunch of us that have gone out of our way to get this thing started and to keep it going. And I'm so happy and glad that Jason is helping out with that. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a great hand for all of our honorees this evening. They are truly outstanding. Fantastic accomplishments, and we thank each and every one of you. Also the families for coming. Thanks to everyone for coming to tonight's award ceremony. We hope you stay. There's lots of food and beverage, and you're able to walk the streets with your containers open. So please enjoy yourselves this evening, and thank you so much for making this a huge success. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.